Welcome to Mishna study of the Masechet Peah, Perek Gimal, starting with Perek Gimal, Mishnah Aleph. In this Mishnah, we're going to speak about beds of grain between olive trees, but really how trees could potentially break up a field, right? Again, in that theme of we need to give Peah for the Aniyim in the corner of the field, but if we have trees in the middle of the field, does that consider a break in the field? And will we have to give it for each separate bed of grain? So let's read through the Mishnah, we'll explain. Malbenot tevuah sheben hazetim. Bet Shammai omerim pe'ah mikol echad ve'echad. ובית הלל אומרים מאחד על הכל. ומודיעים שאם היו ראשי שורות מעורבים, שורותיהם פאה מאחד על הכל. So firstly, malbenot tevuah sheben hazetim. Right? Malbenot tevuah would be these beds of grain. It literally means a brick of grain. Harambam points out that these beds of grain would be similar in that rectangular shape to the way bricks were set up, right? That rectangular shape as well, and that's why we're calling it malbenot tevuah, right? So it's just giving you the I guess the evolution of the word of why it's called a malbenot tevuah, right? It's in between olive trees, right? So any of these 5 grains are tevuah in between these olive trees. So you got these blocks of beds of grain in between all these olive trees. So Bet Shammai says you need to give a peah for each and every one of these beds of grain. And Bet Hillel say no, me'achad al hakol. Give from one of them, the last one. You'll give a percentage to cover all of those blocks or beds of grain. Umodim, and they agree, right? Bet Shammai agrees to Bet Hillel over here that if the Rashi Shurot, right, if the literally the ends of each row were me'oravim, they were mixed, right? They were intermingled, they were intertwined, right? So almost picture it like a bread, like if you're challah, if you're braiding something, right? The end is really all tied together, it all comes together. So if that was the case, then even over there, Bet Shammai would agree that you give one peah for everything. Now Harambam just over here explains that the mahloket between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel is specific, right, to a certain size field, and that is a field that's 50 amah wide by 50 amah long, right? So 2,500 amah square, square amah. Feet wise, it comes out to about 5,600 square feet. If it's a area that big and there are 10 trees in that area, that's the mahloket that we're speaking about, right? Between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, right? That's when Bet Hillel says you give one for everything. And Bet Shammai would say, for each bed of grain. But let's say it was a bigger area, right? Then everyone would agree that you have to give on every single bed of grain. And let's say the opposite. Let's say it was a really small area, right? Smaller than this 50 amah by 50 amah. Then everyone would agree, even Bet Hillel would agree, that you have to give one on every single one, because over there, in that case, the trees are really separating in that scenario. So that really sums up this Mishnah. In next Mishnah, we're going to speak on a similar concept, just not about the malbenot tevuah, but now we're going to be speaking about if a person harvests his field in a certain way where he leaves it patchy.